Welcome to a More Beautiful World podcast with Susyn Renee, a place for those of us with the desire to expand our consciousness, tap into higher vibrations of love, and to connect into a community where together we can make the world a more beautiful place. I'm so eager to share with you what I've learned on my journey in discovering how we're all connected and how what we do for one, we do for us all. Here, I'll be sharing my own experiences, knowledge, and expertise for how you can heal, transform, and ascend your being so that together we can create the more beautiful world we all know is possible. Well, hello, tribe, and welcome to this episode of A More Beautiful World podcast. And in today's episode, I'm going to break down a critical piece needed to better yourself and raise your vibration, and that is acceptance. Specifically, we're going to be talking about self-acceptance. Accepting where you are at right now is such a powerful foundational step needed in order to become who you were meant to be. So today we're going to talk about how to shift from a place of denial and rejection of ourselves into a place and how we can shift into a place of radical self-acceptance. So I'm excited to have you along for this journey today. And I want to begin with the definition of what is self-acceptance. And it is the complete acceptance of oneself. True self-acceptance allows us to embrace who we are without any qualifications, conditions, or exceptions. And I think to get a better perspective on that, looking at the opposite of what it is. So, what's the opposite of self acceptance? And it is denial and rejection of the self. So, one of the things I always think about with this topic is that this lack of self acceptance so much it fuels lower levels of our well-being. It decreases our vibrational state, right? So instead of raising our vibration with self-acceptance, this lack of self-acceptance will suppress our vibration and keep us in smaller, lower vibes. So we really do need to integrate self-acceptance in order to better ourselves, increase our vibration, and increase our well-being as well. So as we dive in today, I want you to ask yourself a few questions and, feel into these a little bit as we go through the podcast. So do you feel that you are completely accepting of yourself and where you're at right now? Do you embrace who you are fully without any conditions or exceptions? And are there parts of you that you are currently, or maybe have historically, been denying? So think about those questions as we go through today, because I think a lot of us will recognize we haven't been fully accepting ourselves. And this is a very near and dear topic to me because I personally have a long history of self-rejection and even deeper than that, self-hatred. And the concept of self acceptance has been a profound part of my journey, really in the last 18 months, that has liberated so much energy in so many ways in myself on my journey. And it just felt really important to share this with you all today, because I do feel it is such a key piece to our expansion, to raising our vibration, to increasing our well-being, to becoming better. And remember, the ultimate goal of all of it is to help beautify our world. So I want to start with a story today. I am, for those of you who know me, those of you who are just getting to know me, I am a queen of self-development. I love to learn, I love to grow, and I am always seeking. So I'm always getting into something, reading books, participating in group programs, taking courses, whatever it might be. And this year, I joined the Fit for Service app from Aubrey Marcus. And I had the honor of joining in on a Q&A with Aubrey himself, who he doesn't probably know this yet, but he is one of my mentors. And I got to ask him a question, which felt like so exciting. Like I was even a bit nervous to ask him a question. And at the time, what was the most important question for me was, what is one of the key practices? What is one of the best ways that we can raise our vibration? And I think I phrased it in something like, what practice can we use to break through, to get us to that next level? And his answer was just so simple. I was almost a bit disappointed in the moment, but I understand now why he said it, because his answer was acceptance and accepting where you are right now. He said that is the biggest key to raising your vibration. Accept where you are right now. Stop struggling. Stop fighting against it. And whew, that really hit home for me. Okay. Because up to that point, this was probably back at the beginning of this year, 2021. I had been doing so much in my self development and I've been doing so much to raise my vibration and increase my frequency and expand my awareness and, just become more authentic in who I am. And when he said that answer as an answer to my question, I had to really ask myself, have I been fully accepting of myself? I had started to accept more parts of me. I knew that. But was it full acceptance? Or was I still holding on to conditions, right, in order to fully love myself? So when that happened at the beginning of this year, it really planted a seed for me to start reflecting on whether or not I was even doing this, right? This full acceptance expression. And it did sound easy, but was it full acceptance? Again, I knew I had accepted more of me, but was it full acceptance? Did I truly embrace all of me without any conditions placed on that? And another question that came up that we'll dive into a little bit is, where were my drivers for my growth and expansion even coming from? So we'll circle back to that question, but all of this, I took into my second ayahuasca retreat this year, which I will be discussing my plant medicine ceremonies more in future episodes. So stay tuned for those because they're going to be amazing. I have a lot to say about those. But in my second ayahuasca retreat, I really recognized that I had been punishing myself for my entire life for not being good enough. I'd been denying myself of unconditional love because I didn't feel that I was worthy of it. And I recognized in that ceremony that I didn't want to operate that way anymore. That there were literally things I tied into that I was manifesting physically that was coming out of this punishment. So when I really brought in, this idea of self-acceptance, I realized, no, I had not been accepting myself. I had actually been punishing myself and rejecting myself and pushing myself because I didn't think that I was enough. And I didn't love all of who I was. So again, more to come on that in a future podcast. But because of that, I've really dug in to explore this topic quite a bit for both myself and my personal spiritual wellness journey, but also for my clients. And I've really come to find that there are a few very helpful practices for us to shift away from the self-rejection and the self-denial space and move into this higher vibratory state of just radical self-acceptance. So if you're still with me here in this podcast, you probably have identified the fact that maybe you are not fully accepting of yourself right now. So the question begs then, right? How do we move from the place of self rejection and self denial into a place of radical self acceptance. So, these few practices, again, I think some of us already do some of these in some ways, and some we don't do at all. So, as I move through these, think about where is your biggest opportunity area and what is at least one or two practices that you can start to implement to cultivate more self acceptance and raise your vibration. Practice number one, it's a big one. And it will take practice. It's called a practice for a reason. And that is moving away from judgment. And I think that really does apply to judgment of ourselves, but also judgment of others. We're so quick to always label everything as, good or bad or wrong or right. And that applies to ourselves, right? When we're thinking about judgment, we judge ourselves so harshly. I think we are all our own worst critic. If there is anything that wasn't like up to our standards, right? Let's say, you're on a diet, right? And you have a really bad cheat day or whatever, then we label ourselves and judge ourselves as bad. We're so bad that we went off our diet. Or if we canceled on a friend, right, because we weren't feeling well, we're like, oh, we're a terrible friend, I can't believe I had to cancel plans. There's all of this judgment that comes. And if we can move away from that judgment, right, and accept that, hey, maybe on that day, you had the cheat day for your diet, right? You were celebrating something, maybe you were really living in the moment. Maybe you were traveling and you had a chance to eat some new exotic food that you had never had before, right? Getting away from judgment on ourselves is so powerful. Even thinking about that friend that you maybe canceled plans on, right? And you were getting down for being a bad friend. What about honoring your energy, right? And seeing that we don't have to judge ourselves for the negative. We can take a lens up and just say, hey, it is what it is. I needed to honor my energy that day, right? And I'm doing the best that I can. So I think that moving away from judgment of ourselves and of others, and really just accepting things as they are for what is and not labeling them, can be a big way for us to start practicing, again, moving away from this self denial, self rejection into self acceptance. Another big thing I have found as a powerful practice to move into self acceptance is to get awareness around where the rejection and the denial of self is even coming from. So, this takes a little bit of emotional work, a little bit of courage to be brave, because not all of us want to dive into our emotional depths, but there's a lot of freedom available to you there in getting curious and becoming more aware of where those rejection and denial tendencies are coming from. Once you dig deep into your emotions, I can tell you three of the biggest things I've seen come up, both in myself and in clients. It is feeling like you are not enough. It is feeling like you are not lovable enough, or that you are not worthy. Those are three huge pieces of emotions that are tied to the self rejection and the self denial and keeping us away from that self acceptance. So, with anything, I had a whole episode on expanding your awareness. And I think the more we can put awareness around these topics, the more we are able to open up and to shift our energy, right? And so dig into your emotions and get curious, find out where that rejection is coming from. And you can use that and work with that once you identify it in some of the other practices I'm going to be talking about. So again, expanding your awareness is a key practice to moving towards self-acceptance. Practice number 3 is to find the lesson or the blessing in where you're at right now. and who you're being right now and what that is telling you. This really helps us shift our mindset um, from a place of lack or scarcity to in a place of abundance and gratitude and growth. Because look, there are probably many of you out there who aren't like 100% happy with exactly where you're at, right? But can we accept where we're at right now and maybe look and find a lesson or a blessing in where we're at right now that can help propel us forward? I think for me, and I'm always striving more in my personal health and in my business. And some days when that is feeling heavy and I'm feeling a little more in that rejection or denial space of where I'm at, I ask myself, what am I grateful for? And what is the lesson or blessing to where I'm at right now? And shifting into that and thinking, well, I have more free time on my hands right now. I have more time for self care. And I trust that everything's in divine timing. So I know that that is what I actually need. When you can see that lesson or that blessing of where you're at right now, again, that shifts your energy into this place of abundance and growth and acceptance. These are higher vibratory states. So if you are working again on cultivating your self acceptance, look for the lessons, look for the blessings, look for the things you can be grateful for right now. And that does help us accept ourselves for who we are and where we are. So practice number 4 is a big one. And I've woven this into a couple of other episodes, but self-forgiveness can be such a huge way for us to unlock and move into self-acceptance. We carry a lot of shame and guilt and fear, things from traumas in our past, and forgiving ourselves for whatever created those emotions, that can be so freeing and it frees up so much energy space. And things like shame and guilt and fear are very low vibrational energies. So if we can move and shift, again, to more acceptance of where we are and where we've been, even too, right? That increases our vibration. So with forgiveness, there is a little mantra, an affirmation that I've used to bring in, and I kind of talk to myself in it. So I say something to the effect of, I completely forgive you for whatever it is I'm focusing on forgiving myself for, because I now realize that you did nothing wrong. And I trust that everything we do happens in divine order, in divine timing. I accept, I acknowledge, and I love you unconditionally, just the way you are. Even just saying that now just feels so good. So using that is a powerful statement to work into forgiveness. You can also incorporate the Ho'oponopono prayer, the Hawaiian prayer for forgiveness. There are a lot of ways to cultivate forgiveness. But again, moving into forgiving yourself for things, letting go with that forgiveness of the shame, of the blame, of the guilt, moves us into acceptance. So a practice of self-forgiveness is really just such a beautiful way, again, to move to this radical self-acceptance. And in that, if you do dive into forgiveness work, I encourage you to do it daily. I think it's most effective when we build consistency around these practices. But the forgiveness work, and forgiving yourself for the things that you feel you need to move into that acceptance can be really powerful, just to state that, in your morning or evening meditations for yourself. So the 5th practice I'm going to share with you today is daily affirmations. So daily affirmations work great for some people and some people don't like them at all. So again, If you feel called to affirmations, they probably are a good thing for you. Okay. Anytime our intuition says, "Hey, let's try that," our body wants it, our mind wants it, our soul wants it. So you can build in daily affirmations around forgiveness, kind of like I shared above, but also simple affirmations like "I love and accept myself." That is so powerful. And placing your hand over your heart and really feeling into it as you repeat it and speaking it out loud, not even just doing it in your head, right? Like just speaking it. I love and accept myself, right? And feel that love and feel that acceptance for yourself and repeat it. I love doing daily affirmations paired with mirror work. The great and late Louise Hayes did a lot of this work and set some amazing foundations for us all in that work. But looking at yourself in the mirror with your hand over your heart, saying out loud, right? I love and accept myself. That is some powerful shit, you guys, especially if you can feel into it. Because if you can feel into it, you will begin to believe it. And these really, again, can be super great tools to use if you've identified and become aware of the fact that your lack of self acceptance, and any self rejection or self denial that you have has been tied into feeling unworthy or feeling unlovable or feeling like you're not enough. Because that programming, that conditioning that you've had needs to be rewired in your brain. And daily affirmations will help you rewire your brain. Okay. So build them in, say them out loud, look in the mirror while you do them. All of that will make it more and more powerful. And again, get you moving into a place of self acceptance. So, with these 5 practices, remember, they are practices for a reason, right? They take practice. So practice these, on yourself, for yourself, right? But you can also practice some of these with other things too. We talk about judgment, right? And moving away from judgment. One way to get away from judging yourself is to stop judging others, right? So if you catch yourself judging others, maybe correct yourself or move away from that, change your language. So practicing these is so powerful. Bringing in a daily practice to look at the lessons and the blessings and the gratitudes of the day, bringing in again a daily self-forgiveness practice, a daily affirmation practice. Practice, 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 right? And it's not about perfection either. There's some phrase that just came into my head, I think from grade school, like practice makes perfect. No, it's never about perfection. It's about progress. All right. So practicing these 5 things, and again, start where you feel called to. It's going to help you move closer and closer the more you practice to that place of self acceptance. Right. So one key piece I do want to mention, as we think about self acceptance, again, I am a queen of wanting to grow and learn and expand. And, I'm just on this big journey of self development in this life. And so I want you to remember that you can accept yourself and where you're at right now and still strive for more. So when we talk about acceptance, I just want to be clear. It is not about settling and staying complacent and never changing anything, right? We can say, I fully love and accept where I'm at right now. I see the lessons and the blessings, and I have forgiven myself, and I know how freaking awesome I am. And I embrace all of me right now, but I still want to do more in my life. I still want more in my business, right? We can do both. You can have self acceptance and strive for more and strive to continue to grow and develop yourself. So I just want to be clear on that distinction, because a lot of times people don't go after moving into the space of self-acceptance because they believe that that means they're not striving for anything more. They're not going to continue to grow. And that's not it. It's not it. It is about loving yourself and accepting yourself for all that you are right now. And also loving the fact that you want more, right? And you want to strive for more and love that aspect too. So, with that, you guys, you can accept where you are, right? For all that you are. You can see all of your magnificence and choose a really peaceful state of mind about all of it. Or you can reject yourself, reject the things about yourself that you don't want to accept. You can fight against yourself, be miserable, and struggle against the universe. The choice is ultimately yours, right? In all of this, we always have a choice. But I do encourage you to use these practices above that I've shared and do it to cultivate more self-acceptance. All right. Let's, all together start moving away from judgment, judgment of ourselves and judgment of others. Let's build awareness around where these habits of self-rejection and self-denial come from. And let's look for the blessings of where we're at right now. What are the blessings of where you're at right now? Can you forgive yourself? What opportunities do you have to forgive yourself? And can you bring in some daily affirmations to help you feel into these new emotions and help you raise your vibration? And I promise you guys, if you stay consistent with these practices and you continue on this journey, it will be worth it. You will notice some radical changes. All of a sudden, those days when you looked in the mirror, and you didn't love what you saw, you're going to start going, damn, I look good. I love you, right? I love you. And when you can start to catch yourself saying that to yourself, whew, it's all worth it. It's next level way of being, my friends. So remember, if you want to better yourself and beautify our planet, it really is about raising your vibration. And a key piece to doing that is moving into radical self-acceptance. And I know and I trust that with patience, some willingness, and maybe not maybe, definitely some practice, you are going to learn to accept where you are right now. You're going to learn to raise your vibration as you do that. And with that, we can make this a more beautiful world. So with that, I'm going to close today. Much love to you all, tribe, and until next time. Hey, tribe. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this podcast, make sure to like the video below and then click subscribe so you never miss an episode. And remember, I've got lots of free resources available to you to support your healing, transformation, and ascension so you can help in making this a more beautiful world for us all. Make sure you check them out in the description below. Thanks again for tuning in, tribe. And until next time, much love to you all.